Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to today's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And today we're going to get into pets, energetic layering, multidimensional living, awakening. There's so many things that Denise can take us into, but really navigating into this energetic layering. And Denise is really going to take us into an awareness of how it is that we're creating our own storylines, and how that's happening, and how we can really empower ourselves um, to really create from a place of we're influencing from our highest integrity, from our highest outcome, and again, how much capacity we have to really create this story. And of course, we'll get into our pets also, and that how that combines as a mirror for our lives and so much more. So it's going to be an amazing call. Um, and with that, Denise, welcome to the show. It's wonderful to have you back.
Thank you so much. It's always fun to get together and talk to you and your audience and get to know about their little furry friends. There's a lot coming through for us to talk about with our pets.
Well, as we go into a lot that's coming through, can you first give everybody who may be new to you as a guest on the show a little bit of background?
Mhm. Absolutely. My name is Denise Mange, as John said, and I am a pet intuitive and uh, dog training expert and also the founder of Pet Prana. And my background, like so many of us on this call, I came in with a corporate background, a background in advertising, which in retrospect was perfect to kind of set up the conversation we're going to have today about layering and different aspects and symbolism. But I left advertising in Madison Avenue and I decided I want to pursue my passion of working with pets and humans. And so, like so many of us, I thought small at that time. I said, well, you know what? I'm going to open a doggy daycare. And if I'm going to do that, maybe I should learn about pet behavior. So I took a dog training course and fell in love with the one-on-one relationship of working with pets and their humans. And from there, of course, the pets just opened up my heart, expanded my awareness, and we started layering all these tools. We started layering in animal communication, pet numerology, chakras, galactics, traveling to realms, and beyond. So
Mm.
that's a little bit of a preview of what we'll get into today.
And you got into pets, and you also connect with galactic beings. There's transmissions and channelings that come through, and a lot of awarenesses that comes into a fuller body awakening, if you will, through the different ways that you can communicate and translate that for the people that you work with pets, with deceased loved ones, even with current relationships as we're experiencing it now.
Yeah.
So,
And it wasn't overnight. I think that's what's really interesting. And that's what sometimes a lot of us who are, stubborn, we want to know what our gifts are right now, right away. We want it all, one go. My kind of the culmination of the work that I've done, as you mentioned, everything from working with your animal companion to sit, stay, to connecting with the galactics and understanding how they're inviting us to become galactic citizens ourselves and everything in between, that all came layer by layer by layer.
mm,
And the first place that it really started with, and this is going to sound super far out, but it was with my love of like books, movie, TV, and symbolism, right? And I think any of those of us who love books, who love novels, who love even songs, songwriting can be storytelling, we love a good story, right? And so I did a little bit of research and I wanted to look into how many stories there are out in the world, right? And so there was a professor at Washington State University who came up with a theory that there's only 6 different types of stories in the entire world that every book, movie, song is based off of. The first is rags to riches, which is a steady rise from bad to good fortune. Then you have the flip side of that. The second is riches to rags, which is a steady fall from good to bad fortune. You have the story of Icarus, which is the rise, then sudden and stupendous fall from grace. You have the story of Oedipus, which talks about a fall, a rise, and then, a fall again at the end. We have the story of Cinderella. That's the fifth. And that's about the rise, the fall, and then the rise again. She ends up victorious in the palace. And then
mhm.
there's the story of the man in the hole, which is the fall and then the rise. So he says there's 6 stories out there and that every story is based on that. There's another academic, his name's Christopher Booker, and he's a bit more generous. He says there's 7 types of plots. First is overcoming the monster. Second, rags to riches. So they agree on that one. The third is the quest. The fourth is the voyage and return. We have the fifth, which is rebirth. Comedy is the sixth. Seventh is tragedy. And then you have good old Tolstoy, who I love, a good, Russian author. And he said there's only 2 types of stories. There's a man goes on a journey and a stranger comes to town.
Mm.
So what if, for even if we were going to go take it a step further and be even more restrictive, and for our purposes, we say, you know what, actually, there's only one single story out there. And it's the story of, man comes to earth and returns to unity conscious through unconditional love.
Mm.
Right. So for those of us who love movies, books, songs, we know that stories speak to our souls. It's not so much about the plot points or the general structure of the story. It's really about the character and their experience, their emotional struggles, their inner battles and experiences as they navigate these different archetypical plot points. And that's really what our pets want us to focus on. They think it's really important that we be the main characters in our own unique experience of this earthly storyline, because we are multidimensional characters. No matter what plot line we're going through, it's really about us understanding the depth of our emotional experience, the depth of the world around us, and how we interact with it.
Hmm. That's a lot. It's like, so how are we applying that, Denise? So in reference to those different stories, how can we put ourselves in that and really navigate from this awareness that you're bringing?
So this is the reminder, right? That it's all about our awareness, our influence, our impact, and our access to multidimensional aspects of ourselves, because we've truly evolved. We've evolved so much in our perception of self, our understanding our new facets, understanding our new gifts and abilities. We've become the main character. We've become these multidimensional, really interesting and rich aspects, the main part of the story. And I think even our spiritual field, that's a prime example of this. Maybe even 10 years ago, not that long ago, we were defining each of ourselves as I'm a Reiki practitioner, or I'm a, past life regression expert. And we stuck to and really learned about being an expert of a single modality. And now we all are starting to learn to leverage a collection of modalities, right? And we're using all these tools and these resources to address mind, body, and energy in more holistic ways. And because of that, the way we perceive ourselves, the way we present our work, the way that we choose our titles have really changed and evolved. We find ourselves more than ever right now in a moment of and versus ors or trade-offs. We are being asked to use everything available to us to really influence multidimensional outcomes, because that's what it's about. Our world is evolving, our environment's more multidimensional. We're stepping into that too. So by leveraging this combination of knowledge, tools, resources that not only have we accumulated in our lifetimes and experiences, but also it's collecting everything because we have an access to an energetic library that has been collected across all of humanity. And to me is so exciting and important, because tapping into our own multidimensionality and unleashing our new gifts is what's contributing to this catalog that we're creating with the human experience. And so what each of us is creating in this moment is really contributing to the legacy of knowledge and tools that are going to be available and remain part of the work for generations to come. So the same way that we're learning from Reiki masters, there's going to be a generation that learns from us. And our animal companions are helping us, just as our ancestors did, the Native Americans, the Egyptians, so many cultures used animals and their wisdom and their magic and their symbolism to really understand their own magic and gifts. That's what our pets are helping us do. They're having us understand our multidimensionality so that we can tap into unique gifts and contribute it to this beautiful catalog that remains available for generations to come.
Beautiful what's coming through and what you're speaking to. it's really illuminating a conversation I had a few days ago, and was listening to it on a group that was transmitting what we're here to do and how we're doing it. And we got into the conversation as you start getting into you're special, you're here to make a difference in the world, you're here to make an impact. And egoically, we're trying to figure out, it's like, how is it that we do that? How is it, who am I in this way? And the truth of it is that there's an aspect of what we would call a qualified energy that we've accumulated through different experiences in previous lives and multidimensional realities. And because of the qualification, the experiences, and what we've chosen to bring into resolution and refinement, there's an opportunity to impact in a way that our mind can't even comprehend, and settle into, but yet there's this thing that innately pulls us forward that we know that we have to step into. Um, so when you start talking about the multidimensional awareness and the potential that awakens within that, how do you see that translating into our next steps, and and how our pets and the plant kingdom and nature is encouraging us and also evolving with us as we go through those awarenesses and transitions in those awareness.
Yeah, well, I love what you just shared, and that just feels so spot on with what I was receiving from our animal companions. And it's so important because we are at this point of karmic maturity, right? We've gone through a lot of cycles. We've, seen what happens when we make different choices. We understand where we are. We are at a point of evolution, up leveling, kind of getting us graduating to that next level of openness, connections, energy, intuition. Not because we're being given access, but because we've earned it. We see the world differently, right? And so this is where, as we reach this kind of end of a cycle, beginning of a new experience of perceptions, mindsets, we may be revisiting a lot of, some of the final, like, okay, let's just check these things off, our list of our box so that we choose higher vibrational versions. And that's where energetic layering is so important, because similar to like a metaphor in a novel, layering really helps us understand a specific, pattern, mindset, vibration from a really different perspective in a context that might be more helpful, more insightful, and more accessible, because it's about understanding our experience using multiple points of reference, which then allows us to use that multi-pronged approach to address and shift their outcome. So whereas if before I was looking at an experience through the lens of my life, my world, how it's making me feel, I might now have a similar trigger, dynamic, or experience, but I understand it in the context of a bigger life, a bigger world around me. So like, for example, if I tell you during a guest desensitization training session that when people enter your home, your pet is protective of you because he or she is scared. I can explain their body language. I can explain, your pet's motivation. I can give you training protocol. And mentally, you'd understand, okay, they're scared. I get it. I understand. But if I tell you about guest desensitization through, and the layers that it reflects through the story of Medusa, for example,
Mhm.
if you go into mythology, Medusa was, a priestess in Athena's temple. She was very pure, dedicated her life to kind of these spiritual pursuits. Poseidon had a wandering eye for her, kind of took advantage of her, and she felt incredibly betrayed and violated. She said, Athena, how could you let this happen in your home? And so, as story goes, Athena gifted Medusa the snakes, so that she'd always feel safe and protected and have that kind of energetic barrier around her physical space so no one could enter it. So if I speak to you about guest desensitization with your pet in terms of that, now you can feel into, wow, okay, where else in my life have I felt violated or attacked? Where in life can I relate to wanting to defend myself fiercely by any means necessary? Where in my life has extreme force been, employed indiscriminately or maybe even selectively? Now I truly understand why my pet is reacting to people entering the space. Because when you can not only relate to the energy your pet is experiencing by putting yourself in their shoes, but actually identify the energy and how it might be manifesting in your life through broader stories, these archetypical stories even. That's when we can create shifts in our lives and for our pets. It's kind of the difference between reading a dry history book and reading a novel with rich characters, descriptions, and real life situations. And that's the benefit of energetic layering. We get to go through these experiences that we're kind of checking off our list for the final time, understanding it through like a depth and richness of color that maybe in the past we didn't get that deep.
Nice. I love how you bring relevance to that, and we put ourselves in the hero's spot and can
Mhm.
understand and sympathize and lead from that place as well. Y'all, we're going to get into live Q&A in a little bit, and of course, there's a special offer with Denise, which includes a private session as well. We'll get into that a little bit later as well. If y'all want to check it out now and book sooner, either Crystal or April will put the link in the chat box here in a second, and you can start checking out. But again, we'll get to that in more detail a little bit later. So Denise, you say that we can learn how to influence these multidimensional outcomes. How can we do that?
So that's by understanding our gifts. Some of the things that our pets do for us is they really help us open up to our gifts, our abilities. They teach us to become observers and face our triggers. All of us as pet parents have had that moment where, if their ear does this, they're thinking something very specific, or we know if something's off with their energy. We also know that, if somebody in the office is kind of annoying me, I can ignore that trigger. But if my pet is barking at me, in our home, it's something I'm going to have to address. So our pets help us become, keen observers and face our triggers. Then they teach us to clear our energy, right? So they teach us energy management, because there are mirrors, they pick up on our behaviors. If I'm stressed out, they're stressed out. If I'm cool, calm, collected, they're cool, calm, collected. So they teach us that energetic coherence. Next, they teach us to trust our intuition. And with those three foundational aspects, now they can help us anchor in new connections, whether it's going to be connections with the galactics, connections with the, earth elements, connections speaking to the trees, to those who have passed, other guides. Once we can, observe our surroundings, clear our energy, trust our intuition, now we're an open channel. And that is where it gets really good, because that's where we start receiving downloads, understanding our gifts, playing with them. And then, especially with our animal companions, there's that saying that necessity is the father of invention. They help us access, activate, practice our new gifts and our abilities. Whether it's now I'm going to start doing a hands-on, healing with my pet because they're having a physical issue, or maybe I'm having to learn to really psychically attune into my animal communication to understand what my pet is communicating to me as they're barking or having accidents in the house. Now I'm activating those gifts. And as my gifts become more multidimensional, as I start layering in crystals with my animal communication, plus essential oils, now the outcome is more multidimensional as well. So our pets are teaching us to trust ourselves, open up and play and experiment with different modalities to become more multidimensional in every way, shape, and form.
Where have you seen examples of like some dramatic aha moments for clients as you guided them either, yes, being able to communicate with their pets and what's saying, but also teaching them how they can learn to read these cues and have that communication and in the way that they believe was possible before?
I love that question, because that is my passion in life and kind of my, bread and butter in terms of how I work with pets. Right?
Mm.
A lot of different animal communicators and pet intuitives get different sorts of information. Some get, I like this toy, or I like this food. Pets, when I connect with pets or even animals in the wild, because you don't even have to necessarily have a pet, what they bring through is what's going on in the human's life and their gifts, their abilities, their purpose. So pets will sometimes just outrightly tell me, like, okay, they need to start playing with the tuning fork plus a singing bowl plus doing some energetic portraiture of, what's coming through as they're doing it. So pets are really specific about that. And a lot of pet parents will be like, oh my gosh, wow, I had all these disparate things, but I didn't, I thought it was just fun. And maybe I was being too, I wasn't committing to something. That actually comes to mind someone who had all these beautiful layers and abilities. And she thought, one of her perceptions was that she was being irresponsible, that she had to select one. She had to choose one and be really good at it. And one of the things that, growing up, I always loved doing was seeing the underlying thread. That's the commonality between seemingly disparate things. So through the pets and like kind of my vision and intuition, we can pull it together and understand all these tools come together to do something very new and specific. And this is it. You're going to be using vibrational frequencies to break up blockages through sound. You're not just going to be a crystal bowl, a practitioner. You're not just going to be using tuning forks. You're going to be doing it all and leveraging different tools in different cases as needed.
Hmm. But that might seem overwhelming. It's like I barely have time to do what I do now. How do we incorporate this into our lives? And how does it facilitate with having to be another thing that we're adding on our to-do list?
And so that's where our pets are so amazing because they bring in the chakras. And to me, the chakras are really interesting because we can begin extrapolating so much if we kind of tap into our own chakra system. We can begin extrapolating healing and shifts. We can start extrapolating colors, color-related therapies, numbers and numerology, crystal healing, sacred geometry attached to each chakra, symbology, universal themes, archetypes. So we actually have really effective and efficient ways to understand all these layers using one point of reference. And the cool part is, as we understand these different reference points, we get to play with each. Part of the work that I love to share is if your pet is, is barking at you for attention, right? We might say, all right, so we know that's linked to the third chakra based on the framework that they've downloaded me. So third chakra, we know that's yellow, right? So we can start leveraging yellow crystals to start amplifying the energy of kind of focus and collaboration and inspiration. We know that it's also associated with the number 3. And the number 3 in numerology, it's all about empowerment. It's about joy. It's about creativity. It's about the creative expressive and putting your ideas and your energy out into the world. We also know that the third chakra is associated with the beautiful sacred geometry of the triangle. And the triangle is the shape of magic, right? In sacred geometry, we think of the triangle and it's so beautiful, so powerful, so dynamic. It's a stable shape. If it's pointed up, it is masculine. If it's pointed down, it's feminine. We also know that as far as the third chakra, the archetype associated with it is that of the warrior, right? Going from indentured servitude, which is kind of the disempowered version, into the warrior who is just out there standing up for himself and the animals. So through that single pet behavior of him barking at you for attention, we have all these different modalities we can play with and bring into our even traditional dog training. And then we get to select which we like, which we don't. And so rather than trying to research and take these long courses that go into each of these, we get a little taste of each and decide, you know what, that one felt good or that one didn't feel as amazing. So I'm going to go deeper on this.
And we're doing this to repattern the pet's behavior, but we're also recognizing something within ourselves in the process.
Absolutely. We're empowering, we're sampling, we're activating different gifts, abilities, knowing, knowledge, different tools that have been passed down to us from the past, because then we get to create our own sampler, our own modalities. And that's what's really exciting. That's what our pets want us to do. And that's what each of us here on this call and at this point in our karmic cycle are really being asked to do. You say it so beautifully. You always invite people to step into their mastery, right? That's what we're really being asked to do at this point, to step into our mastery, shine our tools, create our modalities. And when you're doing something that you're passionate about, and I think you probably would agree, John, it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like something I have to check off my list. You're inspired and it gives you more energy to tackle everything else in your life.
And you can see the outcome. It's not some theory. You're just not reading something and just kind of going through the motions. You're experiencing the shifts in real time. And that reflects in every relationship you have with your pets, if it's a power animal, an animal that may be close to your house, but in your personal relationship as well and what you're creating.
Absolutely. And that's really what our pets are here to do. They're the dress rehearsals, right? They give us immediate feedback on how we're doing with our shifts, how the progress is going. And then they encourage us through, building our confidence through our relationship with them to translate it in every aspect of our lives. And
Mhm.
that's truly been, my life's passion is uncovering the many, many ways they do this for us.
Mhm. It's we're going to get into live Q&A here in a little bit. Also, raise your hand if you want to ask personal questions. There's some questions already coming in the chat, so we'll open up for that. And you don't have to have a pet to ask a question, so don't be shy. Really, the niece's capacity to really tune in and to translate is absolutely remarkable. I'm curious, Denise, as we talk about these multidimensional layerings and the awareness and our ability to create from what's present. What are you noticing as a theme, like this summer as a theme, the eclipse season going into fall equinox? Has there been a story? Has there been a particular archetype that you would put on it?
Oh my gosh, I love that. So for me, what's really coming through is the Empress archetype and the energy of
Mhm.
the Empress. And it's that story, that narrative of, I'd almost say Cinderella is, we started at the beginning, we were all kind of, connected, unity. We've all had a little bit of a stumble. I think all of us can associate with having dark night of the soul, going through, difficult moments, whether it's recently in the past few months, which I've heard from a lot of people, or beyond. But we are at the ascent now. We're at the point where we're really dusting ourselves off and we're getting back up and we're putting on those crowns and really claiming them for ourselves.
Mm,
A lot of the work and readings I've done with pets, the overall theme has been enough's enough. No more playing small. I'm stepping into it. The time is now. There have been a lot of readings where they're like, I've been postponing, putting off, exploring a new career or playing with these new gifts. And now they're like, I'm ready. Also with August, especially around the 8/8 Lionsgate portal, it's so much about our connection with the Lyrans. And
mm,
from my experience with the Lyrans, it's all about they're very involved with the Akashic records and especially our sacred contracts when it comes to our contracts with pets and animal companions. So
mm,
there's been an abundance of pets who have either transitioned, or if people have multiple pets, some have been rehomed because there's more focus on the one-on-one relationship with pets because it's getting more intense. It's getting more kind of one-on-one tutoring, kind of coaching.
mhm.
So that's kind of, it feels like we're on this rise, this kind of claiming, this stepping into the simplification and a little bit of more commitment to our vision and our purpose. And it feels fun. It doesn't feel like,
Mm,
it feels really kind of exciting and sparkly.
mm. Do you find that there's a little bit of apprehension with going deeper with some people that are going through like it's like I have to know myself in that way or I have to show up in this way and have to be, if you will, more intimate in a way that I have to present more of who I am into the world? And if you are noticing that, what's something that you could share that can help to navigate some of those uncertainties?
I love that question because, I think one thing that our animal companions really do for us is they hold and anchor in energy and vibrations until we're ready for them.
Hmm.
Because as much as some of us kind of speed ahead, there's those of us who really kind of sit back and reflect. And then there's those of us who kind of hang behind. And sometimes the role of those who kind of hang behind and come to terms a little later, they're there to be the bookend of the pack, right? So some of us are the leaders, some of us are kind of at the core, kind of going with, holding that energy and vibration. And some of us are meant to wait and kind of step into it a little later to kind of keep up the pace of the pack, but then also be the beacons and leaders for future generations stepping into it. So I would say for anyone who's looking to open up, trust the timing, trust your instincts, don't put pressure on yourself. Um, because sometimes it's not us being scared or playing small. Sometimes it's just our role and the timing of it all. And
Hmm.
animal companions will show up. If
Right.
your animal companion is just, by your side and accompanying you through this journey and providing that comfort, great. You might be procrastinating or playing small if your pet is really kind of getting your attention through the behavior. Then we know, like, all
Mhm.
right, get with it. Let's go. It's time to move.
Yeah, I love that you say that because there's a fine line also through these transitions between being patient, allowing something to evolve. Yeah, it may feel uncomfortable through that growth phase, but the patience really, it's really engendering something that we're accumulating from the multidimensional capacity of not just the action we take for ourselves, but the ripple effects that it has. Yes, of course, for our own future, but how we affect all of creation in the process, the collective, including our immediate collective, but the bigger collective as well. So there's the gift of being patient, and sometimes we know and we know. And so, how do you bridge the uncertainty in between? Because sometimes you just know and you want to kind of pull the trigger, but sometimes you want to pull the trigger because it's just comfortable and we want to get over the hump as quickly as possible.
And I think that's where we go into the multi-layering, right? Let's talk about this emotion. And is it, am I looking to pull the trigger because I'm ready? Well, let me feel into it. Where in my body am I feeling that? Okay, what's coming up when I feel that? What
Mhm.
pattern does that remind me of? Where else have I felt that in my life? Oh, I felt it when I was ready for my promotion at work. Got it. So I'm ready. I'm going to hit the road. Whereas other times, we might have that emotional resonance with another moment in our life where it was appropriate to wait. And so that's why I think this energetic layering is so important. It
Mhm.
gives us more context around our emotions, our experience, our perceptions. And
Mhm.
I think it's so beautiful that you brought this up because our pets always underscore, we all stand, what's that expression? We stand on the shoulders of giants, but then
Mhm.
we also have to reach down and help the generation after us.
Beautiful.
We truly are as spiritual beings in that in between right now where we've benefited from a lot of, knowledge and experience. But a lot of us now are kind of stepping into our master. We are reaching down and being a beacon for those opening up. So
Mhm.
I think it's about knowing our role and really looking at the context and other parallels through chakras, mythologies, stories,
Mhm.
experiences in other areas of our lives, and trying to draw those parallels to suss it out.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. All right, Denise, can we go ahead and start taking some Q&A?
I love that. That'd be so much fun.
We're getting into it. So, Vanessa, let's get started with you. Welcome to the call. And it's wonderful to see
Hey,
you.
yeah, good to see you. So like always, a lot resonates with me because a lot of things are opening up right now. And I'm a big foster failure. So next to me are two dogs from the shelter, and one of them is actually a puppy. He's like 8 months old and like a Malinois puppy. But he has a wobble syndrome.
Mm.
Mm.
And while he's happy, I sometimes struggle because he falls a lot. He doesn't have balance and stuff like that. And I so want to help him.
I love that. And what's his name?
Jiggy.
Oh, with a, is it Jiggy?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, how adorable. I love that. First of all, thank you for opening your heart and home to rescues. That's always such a special thing to do. And I know as spiritual people and pet, groupies that we are here in this call, for us it feels so natural to do, but it
Yeah.
helps so much. So thank you for doing that. And Jiggy is amazing. A few of the clues came through already. One is I pulled the numerology of his name, and bless his little heart, his name has 1 and 9 side by side. So there's a lot of tools, a lot of assets to being recognized, kind of like all the chapters, a lot of culmination energy. And then he has 777. Seven is the number of choices, but it's also very connected to the cosmos, right? It's
Yeah.
connected to cosmic energy, galactic consciousness. So his little wobbles are a few things going on here. One is he is very galactic. So being in this bodysuit is a little strange for Jiggy. He's like, it's like getting in a car and learning how to drive stick if you've only driven automatic. It's a little bit like, whoa, I'm not quite sure what to do.
Mm.
Another number, which was really interesting that came up, is 8, with him being 8 months old.
Yeah.
8 is the number of benevolent leadership. It's the number of as above, so below. 8 is also the number linked with the first chakra. And so the
Mm.
first chakra is all about grounding, connection to the earth, connection to our earthly experience. And with
Yeah.
having so much of that cosmic energy, he needs to be more grounded into this earth. So
Mm.
what we would invite you to do, and this is so beautiful because your name, Vanessa, you have triple threes at the end. You also have the 1 and 5 side by side. The triple threes are beautiful because 1 is the number of the first chakra, right?
Mm.
So you have that grounding for him. You make a very beautiful complement. So you can serve as that grounding by focusing on your first chakra and his first chakra. I
Okay.
would recommend if you have any black or red crystals, you could place that around or place that on his leash in a little pouch.
Yeah.
That can help amplify grounding. You also have a lot of 55 energy, so your toning is going to help him ground into his body as well. So
Okay.
when he's having a wobbly episode, or even preemptively, put your hands on his heart, on his back, sit on the
Okay.
floor with him, tone,
Yeah.
sing, even
Yeah.
if it's something as simple as row,
Mm.
row, row your boat, you want it to be stable,
Yeah.
steady, and breath.
It's so funny because I'm actually practicing light language with them because it sounds so funny and I couldn't do it with a person. So I'm like, okay, doggies, do I have your permission? Let's go.
I love that. And
That's
that's so
cute.
neat. I love that you asked for permission.
Yeah.
That's so special for humans, but also for animal companions as well. So what a beautiful testament to the fact that you're already listening to what Jiggy needs.
Yeah.
He's getting you to work and getting you
Yeah.
up to that,
Okay.
and you're helping him find that earthly grounding through that energy of the first chakra. So
Yeah.
that is beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean,
Yes.
I must say, like, I'm so grateful every day that they are in my life because I feel like they are grounding me as well. So I'm so soft and gentle around them. They can't get anything wrong. It's like the most loving relationship I've ever had. So yeah.
That grounding and that beautiful love, how
Mhm.
beautiful.
Yeah.
You're stepping into the archetype that is associated with the first chakra, the divine mother.
Yeah.
So that's lovely, Vanessa. Wow.
Mm.
Thank you so much, Denise.
Thank you, Vanessa. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Denise, let me ask you, as you're tuning into a particular chakra that we're starting to work with, sometimes because of different interpretations of what's happened in the spiritual community, well, you're working your first chakra, it's shut down, it's not developed, it has trauma. It's not necessarily like that. There's just processes of evolution that we continue to cycle through. Is that not right?
I would agree with that. To me, what I love about the chakras is they're really just a common reference point. We have chakras, our pets have chakras, the earth has chakras, the cosmos has chakras. So it's such a great point of reference. And I know that a lot of people, they talk about chakras and it feels like an old modality to them. But to me, it's so foundational to our ascension process. It's as foundational as the alphabet is to your favorite novel.
Hmm.
We can't write beautiful metaphors if we don't understand the basics of the ABCs. So that's how I view the chakras. So when I say, okay, we're going back and revisiting the theme of the first chakra, it doesn't necessarily mean like, oh man, I thought I checked that chakra off the list. We're just going deeper with new plot lines and story.
Right. Yeah, or I haven't healed my old daddy wounds and I'm still going through the trauma and I thought I'd worked on that 10 million times and I can't believe it's still coming up.
Yeah, no, it's just seeing it in a new context, new light, so that we can see it more broadly versus when we did deal with our daddy issues at that moment, it might have been from
Right.
the hurt child, the silent child, versus looking at issues of the first chakra from the Empress.
Right. And they keep evolving as we keep evolving. We keep expanding and growing. There's new information and new layers. Again, the layering
Yeah,
is so important from that aspect as well.
I
Um,
could not agree more. I could not
yeah.
agree more. I think they're a fantastic tool. They evolve with us. Yeah.
I love the way Denise teaches y'all. It's so empowering. It's not about there's something deficient. It's like, look the opportunity. Look what's transforming. Look what wants to expand and look at all the different things in this natural life that wants to show up to support us in that evolution for our highest good. And when you have someone that teaches like that, you know you're on to someone that you can really not just learn from, but really apply that wisdom into your own life. And then you get to be the catalyst for that for other people as well, because how could you not? So it's absolutely spectacular. And then let's go to our next caller. Samantha, welcome to the call.
Hello, John. Hello, Denise. This is fascinating. Denise, you said something that just leapt out at me. which was, I mean, many things, but in my particular situation, you were making the comment about, you know, maybe getting down to a single pet household for valuable reasons. And I have a question around that because I moved to this home when there was a feral cat living in the yard, and I took him on as a project, and he became a house pet, cuddle under the covers type cat after being somebody you couldn't touch. And after a number of years having him and then getting him a younger sister who is still with me, he got captured, according to another animal communicator, because he didn't come home one night and he got captured. He has the nicked ear from, being a formerly feral cat. Somebody, I think, thought he was homeless and decided to keep him inside. And so he has never returned home. And I checked in with her again, and she said, he's developed a contract with them. And so he's decided to stay there, which, I can accept, but I was certainly under the impression that I needed to adopt another cat for this new young one that I have in the house. But I'm wondering if you would offer a different opinion.
Absolutely. So what's the name of the pet that became a house pet and then is with another family?
The one who's not here anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, his name was Toomey, spelled Twomey.
To me, I mean, that's really interesting right there. And then
I chose that on purpose.
love that. And then what's the name of your current cat, the younger one?
Sasha, Sasha.
SAS. Or sorry, Sasha, it's SACHA?
No, Sasha, sorry.
Sasha, gotcha. Beautiful, beautiful names. So let me just do this. Okay, here's the interesting thing. First of all, to me, that's amazing. Like, he's got so many aspects in himself. Talk about multidimensional, right? The beauty with Toomey that did come through as soon as you started talking about him was that your contract with him was to teach him love from a human, teach him to trust new spaces, and that when he does trust and open his heart, beautiful things happen. What I kind of got when I tuned into him, and I would say check your discernment, see what feels most resonant, authentic to you, is he was playing in different portals, because our cats are really experts at just traveling through portals, like disappearing and then reappearing quite magically. And when you said he didn't come home, he goes, I am home. So what happened is he went through a portal. He decided he wanted to come back and work with you. So he's in your heart. He's with you. He's connected with you still. There may be part of his body that is with someone else, but if it is, it's more of a walk-in. It's less of his energy. Another little being walked into his little body and is having that experience. So that was a little bit of the hit I got. So to me's essence, if you will, is around you, working with you as one of your little spirit guides. And he's very adept at portal work. So if you're like, you know what, there's somewhere I really want to travel to, I haven't been able to get there, ask to me to take you, show you how to get there. You guys have a lot of that connection together. With Sasha, here's the thing that's really interesting. She has a lot of one energy in her. It's 1, 1, 1, 8, 1. 1 and 8 are both the numbers of the first chakra. So I would say that with Sasha, trust your instinct. I'm not feeling that there's another pet that needs to come into the picture. I feel more that Sasha needs to step into her own and find that confidence on her own and kind of embody that for herself. So if you've been having a little bit of like, mentally, I feel like she should have a companion, but it just doesn't seem to work out, or I'm not pulling the trigger, trust that. Because there is an aspect of Sasha, which she's stepping into her empowerment. She's finding that connection with the earth, with her surroundings, that confidence, that safety within herself, without having another energy, another person, another being there as emotional support.
Got it.
Yeah, but that all being always tune into your own instinct. You are the expert when it comes to your path, and they want you to trust yourself first and foremost. So feel into it, see what comes through, but with the numerology and some of the intuitive hits, that's what came through for me.
Great.
Samantha,
Thank
thanks
you
for
so much. That's fascinating.
yeah, and you can go deeper. Let's go through Denise's special offer. I'm going to take more Q&A. It's because the questions are coming in are great. There's some great questions in the chat box as well. And I want to make sure everybody has the opportunity to go into, there's a 30-minute intuitive reading with Denise, whether you have a furry companion or not. I've certainly reached out to Denise for amazing advice. And then the course that she's offering here is really so thorough and so connected. And it's again, to learn from Denise in this way is just so grounding and expanding simultaneously. And it's an experience that there's so much wisdom. Her storytelling, the way that you just guide everything, Denise, is just so impeccable. So for what's being offered here is just it's such an incredible opportunity. So I'll click on the link in the chat box. You'll see it there in blue. If for whatever reason you can't find it, just open up a new browser and type in beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Denise33, and it'll take you to that same page. And Denise, guide us, if you would, through what everybody's going to receive through these offers.
Absolutely. So with this offer, what I wanted to do is have a live course with you guys where we're able to connect on a weekly basis. There's 7 modules plus a bonus module. And what it really does is whether or not you have a pet in training or if you have a pet, if you're just interested in how our animal companions help us tap into our energy, kind of systematically go through the universal themes of, what's going on in all our lives, this is a course that I just am so passionate about and I love. What it does is it maps out common pet behaviors with the different chakras that they affect. And then we're able to see the resonance of that pet behavior, of the themes of that chakra throughout our lives. So for example, on the first week, it's all about building a foundation for success. And with that week, we're going to go deeper into unleash reactivity for pets, but then we're also going to talk about the first chakra. And in that, we go into the resonance of where the first chakra is in the body, the earth chakra that's linked to it. We talk about the different crystals you can use to amplify the energy of the first chakra. As energetic resonance, we dive deep into numerology. So we'll learn a bit about the numerology between 1 and 8. We'll talk about the archetype of going from the victim to the divine mother. We talk about the sacred geometry of the circle and how that symbolism might be showing up in our lives. And then we go deeper into the different mindsets that you might see with the first chakra, the disempowering ones, as well as shifting them to more empowering ones. So all in all, what we do in each of these modules is we go through systematically through the chakras and we tap into different modalities, different energy to truly understand these themes from different contexts, everything we've been talking about here. So for each week, we're going to go into that information, but then you get practical training guidance, including how-to videos if you do happen to be training your pet. And then energetically, we go into recorded meditations. For some of them, we go into human design. What is that? How does that affect, who we are, how we run energy? We go into some added bonus like space clearing and why that's important for our pets and feng shui. So this is truly a comprehensive course where week by week, we go through the chakras, we look at common pet behaviors, but more importantly, we look at the resonance of those themes in our lives through all these contexts. The objective is you come out with a better understanding of yourself, of your animal companions, and also of your gifts and abilities, because at that point you've learned enough about each that you can kind of play with them and incorporate them even into the work you're doing. And of course, each week we have live Q&As where you're able to ask me your question. We do mini readings on the phone. We tap into your pet's energy, your energy, so you get that extra clarity as well. And if you are not able to join live, you can always type your question in before class. I'll answer it, and then you get to listen to it during the replay. So I don't have it up, John, but it's, modules, and we go through 7 different ones week by week. And that's package A.
I will share it here. That's package A, and package A also includes a kickoff call.
That's right. We're going to kick off with, just make sure that we're all grounded, that we have a basic understanding of our pets as mirrors, our chakras. There's a little description about crystals, numerology, sacred geometry, archetypes, so that when we do start talking about each of the themes of the chakra, through the resonance of those tools and modalities, you're already familiar with them. So that's going to be part of the kickoff call. You'll have all those assets. Week 1, we go into building a foundation for success. First chakra, we look at all this energetic resonance. And if you are training, we'll dive into unleash reactivity. Week 2 is all about creating loving boundaries. And this is important not only for our pets, but also for our relationships in our lives, and even balancing our masculine and feminine. So week 2, we go into themes of the second chakra. We talk about, stepping into a more empowered, balanced energy of ourselves. And of course, we go into separation anxiety. In case you are training with your pet, that's a really big one, especially for empathic pet parents, because it's all about managing guilt in relationships, kind of balancing our needs with others, which I think all of us as empaths, that's something we could use a little refresher on.
Oh yeah, all of us.
Week 3, it's all about stepping into your power. So we kind of dive into the third chakra. And if you are training with your pet, we're going to be talking about managing unwanted behaviors. But this one is just so beautiful, exciting. Think bright, sparkly yellow, beautiful amber crystals, the numerology of 3, which is one of my favorite numbers, and so much more. April, I love these pictures, by the way. They're adorable. Week 4, this is another one that's really important for all of us on this call, and it's all about putting yourself first. So this really goes into details of the 4th chakra. It's themes of, romance, relationships, intimacy, vulnerability, trust. And if you are training your pet, we go into guest reactivity and, what that might be signaling for you, and different techniques to really manage that with some hands-on training.
And again, I love the mirroring aspect of all of us and our pet's behavior, what that's awakening within us in such profound ways, especially as we learn how to interpret it and really apply it. The effects of it are, again, they're just tremendous. Week 5, Denise, speak your truth.
In your truth, this is another one that as we step out to be leaders in our community, we're reaching out to those who are kind of opening up to their spirituality. Finding our authentic voice is really important. So we go into those themes of the 5th chakra of going from the silent child to the communicator. And in dog training, we'll touch upon aspects of benevolent leadership, which we know translates to every aspect of our lives, being able to kind of walk into a room and own it and be confident. But really finding our voice and learning to communicate in the way that's most natural to us.
Beautiful. And leading an intentional life.
This one I love as well. Gosh, I just love all these modules. We go into the 6th chakra, and this is about housebreaking and accidents. So we look into illusion versus reality, how we expected our life to turn out versus how we feel it's going right now, trusting our vision, trusting our intuition, seeing ourselves for who we truly are. So in this module, one of the bonuses is we dive a little into human design. So you can kind of understand what it means, look into it, to better understand how you run energy. For me, that was a game changer, understanding my human design. So I kind of baked that into this module as a bonus.
Awesome.
And week 7, understanding the big picture. This is all about the 7th chakra. How do we behave when we have sick or transition pets? What can we learn from this? What beliefs, we hold, what abilities they're kind of activating in us. Just like with Vanessa, her animal companions, Jiggy's encouraging her to do the toning to help ground her. This is kind of, that's a perfect example of working with the 7th chakra in our pets. And this one, we also talk about different animals, cosmic consciousness. So we talk a little bit about the universe as well in relation to ourselves, opening up to it, and also our animal companions.
Beautiful. And who's this course for?
And it's really about anybody who wants to not only seek a deeper bond with their pet, because even if your pet isn't misbehaving, each week you're going to get, training how-to videos, also different basic obedience commands. So it's a great way, even if your pet's super well behaved, just to kind of get the mental stimulation, have some new games to play with them. But beyond that, this is for anyone with a pet parent or without who wants to systematically go through the chakra system and dive into the different themes, how they're affecting in their lives, do meditations to go deeper, and then, on top of it, get a live reading each week and kind of see how they're going. So for me, this is almost life coaching, AKA but also, on the side with a little bit of pet training. Anybody who has read my book, this is a beautiful complement to my book, Translating Your Pet's Behavior, because it adds a lot more dimension, a lot of more energetic layers to the information already there. But the book makes a great companion piece to this course as well.
Beautiful. And then we have bonuses. So we have the bonus kickoff call, right? And then there's a Puppy 101 video.
Yeah, so that's going to be for pet parents. It's just grounded in positive reinforcement training. There's a beautiful meditation to do with your pet, a couple commands, because at the end of the day, in order to truly understand our energy, we have to build that beautiful foundation with them so we can observe them, we can communicate with them and open up those lines. Because when we do, man, the information they bring in and highlight for us is transformational.
Beautiful. And this is package A. It's $97, has a value of close to $650, just a dollar short of that. And again, there's a 2-payment option on that as well. So you get all of this, including the bonus calls and the bonus at the end. And then if you get package B, you get all of that. Plus there's a 30-minute intuitive reading with Denise. And Denise, what can we go into if you can describe that for everybody on the call?
So really the sky is the limit. When we hop onto our 30-minute session, we're able to connect with as many energies and animals as we'd like during our time together. I always pull the numerology of the human's name and the pet's name, so that I can better understand your tendencies, your motivations, how you guys complement each other. And then we start talking. And for me, a lot of the information that tends to come through has to do with our gifts, our abilities, our life purpose, how to activate it. Oftentimes they can be incredibly prescriptive, like, okay, you have to put these modalities together and create a website that's blue, green, and yellow. We also can talk about your cosmic connections. Truly anything you want to ask, we get. But most of the reading tends to be around what's going through your life through the lens of a pet. Because when we understand ourselves better, we vibe higher, and so can they. And if you don't have a pet and you're just interested in animals, we can always use that as an access point. So yeah, it's always a lot of fun to do these 30-minute readings together.
And you're amazing at those readings. Y'all, that package right there is for $149. So you get everything in A and B, again, the reading for that. And I highly, highly recommend working with Denise. So I hope you all take advantage of it and these amazing offers, because we're on BTO and we have these great relationships that we keep building and helping each other grow and transition. And from that, it makes sense to build community and empower one another in this way. So again, wonderful. Thank you for that, Denise.
By the way, everything that we're doing here in the readings, you will have the framework to do too. I think that's always really important as well, because what I'm passionate about is empowering the pet parents to really step into their intuition. And I'm a very pragmatic person, by nature. So for me, it's always helpful to have framework. So all the readings we've done for Vanessa, for Samantha, I'm drawing from the information that I teach in that course. So basically when, we're looking at the number, you mentioned 8 months old, I'm like 8 for chakra. Let me go back. Let me look at those themes, the colors. So it would be something that you would have that framework as well, to be able to kind of start trusting your intuition, playing with your intuition, and having a jumping off point. Because we're going through experiences or awakenings by ourselves or with our animal companions, we might realize, okay, something wants to be birthed, but where do I even start? What's going on? And that's where observation is everything. We might notice that, oh my gosh, I'm seeing circles everywhere. Circles are just really getting my attention, or the color red's really getting my attention. We go to that red of the first chakra, we read those themes. We have specific questions to ask ourselves. We know what they're kind of bringing to our attention, and that's a jumping off point. Or maybe I keep seeing the number 555. 555 is popping up everywhere. All right, let's go back to that framework and see what 5 is associated with. The 5th chakra, let me look at that silent child to the communicator archetype. What's coming up for me around that? Or if your pet is having accidents around the house. All right, 6th chakra, here I come. Let me look at those themes and kind of read through those documents and see what kind of comes up for me with that. It serves as a very helpful jumping off point, I feel.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And again, thank you for always bringing out such amazing special offers on the show. So greatly appreciated. And I know you all want some more readings, so let's dive into that. There's some great questions on the chat, but I'm going to go to a live caller first. Karine, let's start with you. Welcome to the call.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Of course.
Denise, okay, so you want to know the name of my pet and my name? Is that what you want to start with?
I have your name because it's on screen. It's a beautiful name, the triple 5s. But yeah, what's your pet's name?
His name is Merlin.
Merlin. Love it. And what kind of pet is Merlin?
He's a Rottweiler dog, male. Yeah.
And so what's going on with Merlin that you want to check in on?
Well, he's going to be 11 in October, and I just want to check in how it's going for him. I know he has a little bit of arthritis. I just more concerned about his health and how he is with what's going on with him.
Oh, I love that. And I love how intuitive pet parents are with names. I mean, Merlin is a true magician in your life. And everything he does is really to help you open up and trust yourself. Because what he immediately highlighted is, first and foremost, the fact that within your name, dearest Karine, you have a lot of amplified energy. You have 99, you have 99 side by side, you have the 555 side by side. So everything that you are opening up to seems to be big. You have a lot of gifts. Your energy is big. Your abilities, your intuition is big. It's about opening up to it. The other thing that he's kind of underscoring within your name is 69. When I see the 6 and 9 side by side, it's about balance. You're very complete in who you are and the tools you have and the abilities that you're here to share. Then it's followed by the 95. 95 is the number of like tremendous healing, but it's not any healing. You're able to do healing in a great group very easily. You don't have to kind of bring it into yourself and process. It's like you can just very quickly put your hand out and create that healing. Grid work probably is something that you're really good at as well. And so Merlin, within his name, he has 59, 3, and 95. And when I see 59, that's the empathic healer. So he brings the energy into himself to do the healing and then puts it out, almost like a Brita filter. In between that, it's 3, the number of empowerment, activation. And then it's bookended by 95, which is that big healer energy that you have as well. So everything in his numbers indicate the health situations that tracks, right? Because he's all about healing and he's activating your healing. So right now, this is the time to work with him, play with him, feel into him. It feels like hands-on healing is very big for you. And also it's interesting because the grid is coming through very strongly. So I would say working with crystals, if you don't already, is going to be really powerful. And even little mandalas, like I'm seeing those wooden mandalas where people put crystals around it and there's like an impacting grid. That feels really powerful for you as well. And there's some really beautiful correlation that Merlin's bringing through. And I'm trying to understand, let me kind of go a little deeper. With that kind of circular mandala and the crystals, there's corresponding grid work that you're doing on the earth, but also with the planets, with the 7 major planets. So it's almost like seeing the reflection point between planets and the earth and doing that healing. And they have corresponding, it corresponds to his body as well. So I don't know much about this, but I think, different organs have different, are linked to different planets. That's what he's bringing in for you. Start playing with that, exploring that, see what lights you up about that. But he's all about activating this really big healing and beautiful energy you have with it. You're an activator too. So he's activating the activator.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. All right. So I don't have to be concerned about him.
Exactly. That's what he was saying. He's like, don't worry about this. It's all happening. He's a magician. He can make his body do whatever it needs to do to get your attention, to get you to do the next step. Don't feel guilty. And this goes to all pet parents, right? When we understand that the work we do kind of affects our pets, or they're presenting certain things so that we kind of can practice our skills and our abilities, they're happy to do it. It's part of their soul contract. They're not suffering. Our pets are really good at being able to step out of their body if there's any pain, and then slip right in. So he is honored to, just as Merlin, had his apprentices, he kind of sees you as his apprentice, which is sweet.
Nice.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Denise, thank you for calling in. Yeah, and dive in deeper with Denise. I'm sure you can go much further into what's coming through from Merlin. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Thanks for coming on. All right, we have a question that came in from Sarah. So Sarah's asking, or she says, "Hi, Denise. I have a young foster cat, Blue, who has been returned twice to the shelter for aggressive." And let me do something real quick. Excuse me. I need to mute Dawn there real quick. So again, hi, Denise. I have a young foster cat, Blue, who's been returned twice to the shelter for aggressive biting. He continues to do it with me. Can you connect with him and find out why he's doing this? And is there a way of changing this behavior? I'm afraid he's unadoptable.
And is Sarah with an H or S-A-R-A? Do you know?
It's with an H.
Okay. All right. Beautiful. Okay, so this is something that's really interesting and beautiful, because sometimes our animal companions present opportunities for us to select ourselves. So with Blue, a few different things were coming up. One, the name, Blue, right? Whether you chose it or not, that's the name he's presenting. Blue, 5th chakra, finding our voice, right? And then with the biting, that brought me directly to the 4th chakra, which is putting yourself first, choosing yourself first. So part of the lesson that Blue is bringing to you is the invitation to pick yourself above all odds. Because as pet parents, especially those who are adopting rescues, there is this tremendous desire to want to help, to be the one that's reliable, to be the one who's the soft landing spot. But it almost feels that with Blue's energy, he's bringing in a little bit of that choice point for you to select yourself, be like, you know what, this might not be the right fit, and then voice it. So we have the 4th chakra, selecting yourself first, voicing, standing up for yourself, using your voice on your behalf. And there's a little extra bit there where Blue feels, his energy feels a bit more of a consultant. He might not be the energy that's with you for the rest of your life, like your baby boy. He feels like a consultant as far as pet energy goes, where he goes where he's needed. And it might be for very short term, but he gets the job done. So have you consider that and feel into it, because sometimes as empaths, as pet parents, as pet lovers, it's really hard for us to stand up for ourselves, even though we know in our heart it's not right.
Beautiful. Thank you for asking such a great question and going deep into the details so that Denise can excavate and illuminate. I'm going to put myself in a guinea pig position because no one's really asking, but I haven't had an annual companions in 15 years. I had 2 pets before, but I'm curious if there's a specific animal or pet or something that's in my field guiding me from that perspective and what they may have to share.
I love that question. And spoiler alert, I don't have a pet either. So I'm kind of in your shoes where I get to kind of experience all these different, energies of animals. For you, John, what's coming through is lion, loud and clear, but not any lion, not just any lion. It's the cosmic lion. It's the cosmic lion that presents itself with a roar. He has like these beautiful beads in his mane. And he's just, the roar is, it's a sonic roar, which is actually really interesting. It's not like this loud, intense roar. It's those little sound things, almost like Aquaman in cartoons, that goes beyond the realms. And punches through any blockages. So this cosmic line is backing you on everything you're working with right now. Call him, hop on his back. Let's go.
Okay, and that's how I call him in. Invoke him in to help empower me, to strengthen me, to remind me.
And the beauty of it is sometimes there is a shape-shifting aspect where we say embody that energy. He actually wants to carry you. The reason for that being is you're carrying so many other people and energies and kind of, being that, he wants to carry you. So there's also this aspect of accepting that help, which is
wow.
Yeah.
It's really resonant and really powerful. Thank you for that. Thank you. And these are the type of questions y'all can ask Denise, y'all, to go deeper into the special offer, into session. There's so much illumination and empowerment. All right, Denise, let's continue with more Q&A. Karen, let's go to you. Welcome.
Thank you, John. Thank you for providing this sacred space for healing. I'm so glad to be here with you. I didn't grow up with pets because my parents both worked full time and they weren't going to listen to us say, "Oh, we'll feed them, Mom." No, they knew that would last about 6 weeks and that they would be doing it. So 17 years ago, I got my first dog, my first pet. She's a long-haired Chihuahua, Tinkerbell, and she was born on Christmas Eve. And she came with this energy. It's funny, I don't know why she wasn't picked first, because there were 5 in the litter and she was one of 2 or 3 left, and she was just like running around with these huge oversized ears and this little tiny body going, "Pick me, pick me, pick me." And she stayed that way her whole life. Like, she's just the most happiest, pleasant dog in the whole world, and I'm so blessed to have that as my first pet. And she's mostly deaf, or mostly blind, but and partially deaf, but she can hear. And she just seems to get around by extrasensory perception. Like, her bed is in the living room and she somehow maneuvers down the hallway to her food dish and then back again, and it's just amazing to watch her. But I know so far she's eating well and drinking well. I just don't know how long she's going to go on. She'll be 17 this Christmas, and when it comes time to pass over, I just want to be ready for that. And I just don't know what messages you have for me or Tinkerbell has for me, but she's brought me much joy.
And thank you for sharing that. What a beautiful story. And I can feel the energy, and the love is just so palpable. And there's a few things that come through. The deaf and blind, that's always something that, jumps out anytime there's a physical aspect of it. That's going to be an invitation to kind of look at the 5th chakra, the 6th chakra, those themes. And in particular for you, the 5th chakra is going to be toning, kind of learning to speak to her and find that voice and speak to her. Not that she's going anywhere. She's not saying she has any exit plan, but even after her, once she's transitioned out of her little body, speaking to her is going to be very important, because it opens up your clairaudience more and more and more, as well as your third eye. So, kind of feel into themes of the 6th chakra, the 5th chakra. But what Tinkerbell wants you to know most of all is she is the pet that you dreamt up and manifested as a child. She came to you as your childhood dream. She says, "I'm part like Mickey Mouse, part, Chihuahua," because that's how a little kid would draw, like a dog. She literally, there's that movie Xanadu that she's bringing as a point of reference, where in the beginning, there's an artist and he is doing a mural with spray paint of these beautiful women who are supposed to be, I believe, the Palladium sisters. And then they come to life and they start skating across, Venice Boardwalk. That's what you did with little Tinkerbell. You drew her up in your heart and mind, and she came to you. And the reason why she's little is not only because as a child, that was the scale that made sense, but she's soft because you're soft. But that doesn't mean weak. It's just, there's this soft, there's this nurturing, there's this quiet power that she taps into you. And both of you guys have so much of that 11 energy in your field. 11 is a master vibration in numerology, and it's all about connecting to energy, receiving downloads, being very attuned to energy around you. So she's helping you really kind of trust that. She wants you to know that you're her childhood pet, so that you trust in your abilities to create and kind of manifest that energy. And then when she's transitioned, she continues to work with you. And it feels like there's a lot of work that you do working with animals on the other side. Not necessarily, transmitting messages back and forth, but working with the energy of grief, loss, and especially with little kids. So I don't know if you do any work with children and like healing, but there's something about kids.
Wow, because I coached gymnastics for 40 years and I'm 61 now, so I'm a little worn out, but I'm doing energy healing work and light worker, work and life coaching. And whenever I have an opportunity to get a reading, they say, you're not done working with children because you speak their language. But I thought I was when I retired from gymnastics, and I was going to be working with adults. So I am so torn. I don't know what to do.
Well, here's where this is the fun part, right? This is where we don't have to be so literal with it. It might be working with the energy of kids, working with the energy of young pets, but children comes through, young energy comes through, because there's something so sweet and gentle, especially when they really long for something like a pet. So there's something there. It might not be like in the capacity of like gymnastics necessarily, but your next, maybe Tinkerbell decides she's going to be a therapy dog, or just always kind of cuddles up near other little kids. There's something about the energy of kids and the like longing and the need for the want for connection.
Oh, because my coach today in the holistic business school said that I'm drawn to be doing inner child work with people. So that makes perfect sense.
Ooh, beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Explore more, Karen. Again, the special offer with Denise is absolutely amazing. I highly recommend the reading with her. It just goes such a long way. But blessings. Yeah. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Denise.
Fifth chakra is all about inner child work too. So that's awesome. So right on, Tinkerbell.
Blessings,
Thank
Karen.
you.
It's wonderful to meet you. Denise, Mari's asking, she writes, in my family, we have an endearing relationship with successus burners, Bernese mountain dogs. Do you have any idea what the galactic origins of these precious ones would be?
Love that. And what's her name again? Sorry.
Mare, M-A-R-E.
Got it. Okay, I love that. So when it comes to the galactic origins of the Bernese, I'm not getting the collective, but I'm getting for you in particular, it has to do with Venus. And also in particular, even going deeper, it has to do with, in Portuguese, we call her Imaja. She is of the Oshun religion. And she has a star on her head, and she's like the goddess of the sea. And in Brazil, what we do at the New Year's, we throw roses into the ocean for her, 7 roses. So Iemanja, Iemanja. Give a little search on that. It's the goddess of the sea, and that's who your family lineage of the burners is related to. There's something about water for them, for you, that comes through really strong. So the 5th chakra is also going to be an interesting one with the blue, the color of the ocean. But Iemanja, being of the ocean, but also having that star, shows that galactic connection. And she's also very tied, by the way, to kind of the energy of the mer people, but the cosmic mer people. So there's a lot there to kind of play with.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And Suzanne's asking, can this relate also to cockatoo parrot behavior and change it?
Absolutely. So I love that. We can definitely go use this philosophy for any animal companion that we have in our lives. And especially, I've worked with a lot of pet parents who, birds pulling out their feathers, that was a big one. And depending on kind of the context and how it was happening, it either was associated with the 3rd chakra or the 6th. But a lot of times our birds have so much to say. I've done a lot of work with birds, and it's always interesting. We can always apply the themes.
Yeah, so wonderful. And then Mel writes in, I'm going to take a couple of y'all that are alive as well. Mel's saying, I definitely want this class. Today, my clicker broke when I took it off after training a dog. My first instinct was I'm not supposed to have dogs anymore, but this show makes me rethink the meaning as there's so much to learn from our furry companions.
I love that. Here's the message from your furry companions to you regarding the clicker. Now, I love anything that any pet parent does that keeps them, training and excited. But the clicker breaking was divine timing, because they're saying instead of using a clicker tool that kind of speaks on your behalf, use your voice, use a marker word. I always love using the word yes, because you can modulate it. So if you ordinarily would be training your dog and you're having him sit, the second his little tush touches the ground, you would click and throw a treat. Rather than clicking, have him sit, the second his tush touches the ground, yes, and throw him a treat. Empowerment for you. This is you using your voice rather than relying on a tool that feels a lot more old school. And I would, and no judgment with that, it just feels like a tool that was used previously. I would even go as far to say, what other tools, modalities, kind of support systems are you using that feel like you don't need to rely on those? You could rely on your energy, your voice, your magic instead. Things that come to mind, and again, no judgment, I use these, I love them, but like something like oracle cards, if you're someone who feels like you can't tap in intuitively unless you have an oracle card in your hand, let's put those aside for a little bit. Let's kind of trust our intuition and bring it back in as more of a playful aspect. Any tool that we fully rely on or feel that we're not on unless we have access to, the universe is inviting us to really like revisit that and remember that the power's always been within us, right? Those tools help activate, but it's within us. Let's use ourselves first and foremost.
Beautiful. Thank you, Denise, and great question. Thank you for asking. Yeah, I'm going to take a couple more questions. Before we do that, the special offer, the chat is in the link. The link is in the chat box. Y'all click on that again. Package A is $97 with the 30-minute reading. It's $147. It is in depth. You get live components. You get Denise amplifying in a reading what's coming up and the assistance that you have and how we're being called forward in such beautiful ways. And again, Denise is absolutely just amazing at that. So I hope you take advantage of the special offer. Again, the link's in the chat box. If you're not sure if you still need to read it, at least click on the link and keep it open on your tab so you can get to it later and find it easily. And as we go from there, Don, welcome to the call. And Don, can I get you to unmute your microphone? There you go.
Yes, there. Thank you for the call, and thank you for all the wonderful work you do. You're amazing, and I really love always connecting with you and hearing all of your insights.
Thank you.
And I've had one call with you, Denise, before. We had the 7 beagles in downtown Charlotte, and now they were down to 3. And you told me correctly that my parents were not going to give up those beagles for very easy. But we have one that's sort of the main star, the runt of the litter. Her name is Snoopy, very original for beagles. And then we have Jolie Blonde, who's kind of a blonde beagle, and then Bud Light, who was Budweiser's sir. But it seems like and I don't have these. My parents have 2 of them. My brother has 1. But it seems like my parents want to live in 1950s South. And that's, kind of when they were born, and they really hate progress. And that I got on a plane and went to California and worked there as a sports writer and then as a political writer, drove them crazy. And politically, we're opposite. So how are these dogs holding the energy of this family, and what is my role in it? Or is that like, I know this is not beyond you, but I'm just kind of curious what I should be like learning from this. And John, jump in here however you want.
That's beautiful. So it's no accident that they're beagles. We know beagles are some of the most loving and forgiving dogs that are out there. They're also some of the most charismatic with those eyes, their personalities. So for them, what they're really good at just bringing the family together. The biggest takeaway in the lesson is live and let live, kind of energy. You're not going to be changing anybody's perceptions. It's acceptance. That's the word they're showing. It's acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean you have to agree with, follow, or even listen to. Those big beagle ears are coming in right now as a message. You can always get up and, walk away non-confrontationally, but it's the expectation. They really want you to manage expectations that it's not going to change. It is kind of what it is, and they're okay with everything.
The guides want me to, or the beagles want me to?
Eagles, who are your guides too. But the big lesson here also is advocacy. If there's something that you're seeing in the microcosm with your parents that you're not aligned with, whether it's regarding how, their view on pets, it's regarding politics, advocate, but on the bigger level. You're never going to change the one-on-one in your family dynamics, but it can serve to raise your awareness so you can advocate for the cause on a bigger community, state, national level. That's what they're saying. You have impact beyond that, not in the immediate family, because it's not necessary. You're here for bigger picture things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my sister that passed, that was older than me, what is her role in this gig now?
Do you have her name?
Doris.
Doris. So Doris comes in as she's a unifying energy behind the scenes. She's able to go in and kind of whisper and smooth things out in the energy behind the scenes. But there's so much about acceptance that is swirling around. I don't know, John, if you're picking up on that as well, but kind of accepting the smaller dynamics, but understanding how they are inspiring you to create bigger change, bigger ripples on higher levels. You're an amazing writer. So, writing feels like one, advocating, getting groups of people together, rallying people through your words, through your writing, but making change community, state, national level, and advocacy. That feels where your power is really amplified and impactful.
Is there any chakra I should be igniting, or is that going with this?
Sixth chakra has to do with acceptance. So I definitely go into the sixth chakra, especially in illusion versus reality, how things didn't turn out, or relationships or, dynamics aren't working out the way that you'd hoped they would. So that kind of aspect of acceptance is a big one. And if any dog is having any accidents or, going to the bathroom, eliminating places they shouldn't, that's going to be a big sign to pay attention to that one. But then the third chakra, because the third chakra is about empowerment. It's about inspiration. It's about the fire within. It's about, it only takes a spark to get the fire going. You can be that spark. You can create that change. You can, be the light, the beacon. So those are the two ones that come through. And whenever you are that flame, it's always through the lens of love and empowerment. They want to acknowledge that. You're not let me tell you how it should be. You're let me paint a picture of how it could be. And then you decide how you want this world to look.
Thank you, Denise. And thank you, John. I really love working through you. You're an amazing channel, and you brought so many beautiful people together, including Denise. So you're an icon in this world. So thank you so much for
Thank you. And something that you're bringing through as a mirror for many of us as we go into the layering aspect of this, Denise, of how we started to call the multidimensional layering. We have to remember where we're putting our energy and why, and how we're choosing and how we're realizing the ripple effects of our actions and reactions and how we want to share with other people and empower. And so we can argue with the librarian over the book that the library isn't carrying, or we can go about creating awareness on a grander scale and investing that energy in a way that really serves what's being inspired through you, rather than going up the wrong chain of command that's not going to serve you, if you will. So the layering aspect, and again, the ripple effects, and I love it, Denise, if you provide a little more insight, because I think that's important, not just for Don, but for all of us on this call.
Beautifully said, John. And I think impact is one of the biggest words that I'd love to be a takeaway for this call.
Mm.
We talked about how our gifts, our decisions, our role in the narrative, you know, as the main character, our mission, that's going to be our legacy that we contribute to the human catalog of tools, resources, you know, circumstances. So all of us are being asked to kind of step up and remember that our microcosm is a reflection of the macrocosm. So if we have influence, if we can practice those shifts internally, now we can create really big impact. So impact is something that we all desire. We all want to leave this world better than we found it. And we just need to find the way, you know, what does that mean for each of us? For some of us, it might very literally be working with environmental, you know, aspects. For others of us, it might be working with inner child work. You know, for you, it might be, you know, being that voice, that beautiful activating power, but showing how it can be done through a loving lens versus, you know, kind of a bossy voice. And that might inspire someone who's thinking about journalism to read an article or read something that you do or interact with you and be like, that's a voice. That's how I would like to be. That's a role model. So there's so much there around you and impact on. And I'm so glad that you brought this up for the group, because we all are seeking to leave our mark in a beautiful way.
Yeah. And in the 1950s kind of reference, it's like you're not going to beat your parents into submission like they used to with a pet, roll up the newspaper and hit them on the nose and put their nose in the pee. That's the old way that they were taught to enforce a behavior that they preferred. And you have the consciousness and the capacity and the empowerment and the audience to affect change in a way that really facilitates it, in a way that honors the humanity and the dignity of everybody involved, right?
That's funny, because my dad would never do that to his dogs now, but he would do that to me now if he could.
There you go.
He would roll up and slap me with the newspaper if he could. So.
Pull that newspaper, write an op-ed in it, and submit that.
Nice.
Well, I've done the op-ed thing, and I'm doing more. So but that's fascinating to sort of hear, like, you know, there's so much. And I was in my book group the other night, and I said, you know, the Black Madonna, the dark feminine, is on stage in America now, and it's a moving energy, and it's the patriarchy has always tried to eliminate that. And, you know, we're in a revolution where the dark feminine is on stage, and the energy is so beautiful. So I was like, wow, this is very, we're in a transcendent time. And my dogs, you know, two of them are feminine, and, you know, they bring such a rich feminine energy. And, you know, I've had my sister was a power dynamic woman, and I have so many of my mentors and are women, and it's just an amazing time.
Yeah, it is.
And you are such a balanced feminine, or balanced energy, John. I mean, you bring so much power. So it's always good to chat with you and to see what you're working through.
Yeah,
So
we're always working through something. It's an honor to be here with you. Thank you so much. Denise, y'all, the link for the special offer to work with Denise and go deeper, it's in the chat box. Take advantage of that. We'll obviously run the replay, come back, listen to the call. There's so much that's coming through here as well. And this wisdom in the way that Denise weaves story, and again, those different layers that are available to us. I just love the way that you bring it together, Denise. So thank you for that. And I love it. Is there anything that is coming up that you want to finalize the call with, Denise?
Oh, I just love how we are all, I mean, I know, you know, Gen Z talk, you know, we're all in our main character era. We're all stepping in, we're understanding ourselves. And sometimes even some of the more difficult or challenging situations, they're helpful because it provides a counterbalance to what it is that we want to do. And it provides motivation for us to get going and talking about what we're passionate about. So if we can have the objectivity to step back and watch our life as a movie scene unfolding, to connect with our pets and see what they're reflecting back to us, man, we get to bring that, main character energy. And that's what it's all about. Oh my gosh, there's our little friend, Vanessa's friend. So step into it, own it. We're no longer supporting characters. We're no longer kind of in the background fading away. All of us are being called, to use John's words, into our mastery. And our pets, talk about characters. They're the best sidekicks we could ever ask for in this journey.
Oh, yeah.
Create your legacy, add it to the catalog, because future generations need the combination of modalities, the energy, the insights that you're here to share at this time with our civilization, with our humanity. So thank you for showing up, each of you, and being so open to bringing our pets into these conversations.
Yes, thank you everybody for being on here. I'm sorry I couldn't get to everybody live on another call. I promised Denise will be back, but again, the special offers there also, so you can go in and ask Denise. It's an accessible offer for everybody, I'm sure, for many people at the very least. And Denise, as always, thank you so much. You're always amazing. You're so prepared. You give 110% every time. And it's just, I, again, just appreciate the way that you show up and the generosity that you so freely give.
That you inspire it in us all. You lead by example. So thank you for having this platform and bringing us all together and giving us this opportunity. These are transformational conversations. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for all who shared about their pets.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. Have a great evening. Denise, I will talk to you soon. Bye, y'all.